This is the second in a series of software installation videos for IDSC 3103 database class, and assumes that you went through the first video, which gave you instructions on how to install MySQL Server Community Edition on your machine. This video is going to deal with installation of Toad for MySQL client on Windows systems. So for Mac, please check out the PDF Lect1 IntroDBMS file for the alternatives. So again, at this point, I assume that the MySQL Server Community Edition is installed. And if that is the case, you can proceed with the client installation next. So start your browser, either Chrome or whichever one you're using, and type toadworld.com/m/freeware/1469. This address is available on top of the third page in the Lect1 IntroDBMS PDF file with all the software installation instructions. Now, once you land on the download page and click on the download button under Toad for MySQL Freeware, it will ask you to go through a registration process, which really using the create account button, which amounts to using your UMN email and making up a password. I think that's it at that point. I've already done that, so I'm going to type in my UMN email and password that I made up for this particular installation, in which should never have to use again. And I'm going to sign in to whichever system is administrating all this, and then you're going to get to the another downloads page with a mandatory registration. Again, I found no way to avoid this. If you do, please be my guest. There was no thanks. I can skip the registration type of link that we had for the MySQL Server Community Edition in the previous video. So I'm going to use my UMN email, make up a job title. That doesn't really matter. And obviously skip all the fields that are not required. And let's see if this works. The state of, I guess, Minnesota. Okay, that should then, after you provide sufficient information in the registration page, actually result in a download initiation. Put the compressed zip folder with the total for MySQL Freeware somewhere on your hard drive. Again, I'm going to use that MySQL server, or MySQL folder rather, under Programs. Save it and wait for it to download. It's certainly quite a large file, because it's in a zip folder format rather than installation package as we had before. But in about 15-20 seconds, you should be done. And after that, you should be able to close Chrome. Go to the folder where you downloaded the zip folder, and then expand it by right-clicking to extract all. You can extract it in a separate folder. Just hit extract. It doesn't matter. And then it's going to again open up the folder with the application, and then right-click and make sure to run it as the administrator. Okay, run it as the administrator. After the initial installation, then it's going to ask you to confirm that you are allowed to install, just like on your computer. Make sure you pick the correct version. It should actually figure it out on its own, and then the installation process should finally start. I like to close the folders behind to have a clean background, although you don't obviously have to do that. You accept the license agreement, and just keep clicking next to accept all the defaults. Now, one important step here, we want the Toad to be able to open the SQL file extension. So I'm going to check that button. These other Toad file extensions are not really important for us, so we're just going to leave them alone. And then we're going to start the installation and monitor the progress. This could take a couple of minutes, if I remember correctly. It will create a shortcut on your desktop, which you can keep or remove. I tend to remove those because I like my desktop clean. So at this point, you just got to be patient and make sure that the Toad installation does its thing. And once it does, or in the meantime, you should make sure you remember the password for the root user, ROOT. Root user is the admin for the server, for MySQL server. So you should make sure you dig up that password you created during MySQL server installation and have it sort of handy. If this ends up taking way too long, I might pause the video. But as it is, I just might as well try to wait it out. Okay, so the message says that the Toad freeware was successfully installed. We don't need the release notes. We'll start it ourselves so we can uncheck both of these guys and close. So for this, I tend to delete the desktop, and I generally pin to the taskbar the software that I use. So I'm going to click through those couple of steps. When you hear the froggy sound, that means the software is running. Now, what we want to do next is the main objective is to connect to the server. Okay, so I'll take a look at this. It's a little different than the last time around. Toad for Oracle. I don't see Toad for SQL Server, DBM2, MySQL, or custom. One of these last two option buttons should get us to it. And I don't think much. Let's see. I don't think much of anything is going to happen. This website here is not necessary. We'll close it. So the key here is to have connection manager available, at least for now. The object explorer is something that we're going to use heavily later on, but right now let's just concentrate on the connection. To create a new connection, you can either use this or this button here. Okay, the connection type TCP host localhost user is the root. Okay, and I think that the full name of it might be root, right, is the root at localhost. So you type ROOT. Okay, so that's the equivalent of the admin or administrative user with all the privileges to create databases, tables, and all that stuff you'll see later on. The password is the one you created, and this is the critical bit during the server installation. So I'm going to type mine. Okay, the database we don't need right now because we don't have any to connect to. The port should be 3306. We want to save the password, and we want to connect on a startup automatically. Okay, I'll check all three of these guys and try to connect and see if it does work. Yes, and it did. So I connected to the root and localhost, so the admin account. And at this point, I'm going to close the connection manager window. If I need to get back to it, I can use the connect. Okay, I can use the connect button at main pane up top, and at this point all you have in the Object Explorer is the so-called information schema database and a couple of other systems databases that we're not going to be touching anyway. So if you got to this point and if your screen sort of looks like this, right, you have successfully used Toad for MySQL client on the Windows system to connect to MySQL community server, again with of course the Windows version. As I mentioned earlier, the Toad for a MySQL Mac version, if you installed that one, you needed to proceed quickly to download the SQL Pro client or another client that you can use to connect to MySQL community server community edition Mac version. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to create a video that goes over that process. You're going to have to do it on your own. Again, the alternative to that, and which will allow you to then just proceed with installation of Notepad++ and Era Assistant immediately, is to have either Boot Camp or Parallels or some kind of a dual booting Windows booting system on your Mac, and then use it essentially as a PC. If you have any questions on the Mac related installations, please talk to me. For questions regarding Boot Camp or Parallels or these dual boot installation, please email help@umn.edu. As a University of Minnesota student, you do have a right to a Windows license on your Mac, so that will not be an issue. So at this point, I'm going to close Toad and get back to my main screen, and then I'm going to go and stop this recording, and then I'm going to record the last two pieces of software shortly.